Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India rejects the US's comments on India's Citizenship Amendment Act as misplaced and unwarranted. The Ministry of External Affairs says CAA is India's internal matter. India's Election Commission to announce the poll dates for the biggest polling exercise in history tomorrow. The nation gears up for its general elections. And Russian President Putin eyes re-election amid Ukraine conflict and the absence of credible opposition. NATO calls the polls not free and fair. The Election Commission of India will announce the schedule for this year's general elections at a press conference tomorrow. The media briefing will be live streamed on social media platforms of the Election Commission of India. It will begin at 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time. The newly appointed election commissioners Gyanesh Kumar and Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, they took charge of their offices on Friday. They were appointed as election commissioners by a selection panel led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and comprising leader of the main opposition party in the Lok Sabha and a union minister. The two vacancies were created in the Election Commission after the retirement of Anup Chandra Pandey in February and the resignation of Arun Goel recently, days ahead of the Lok Sabha polls 2024. The new commissioners have joined their offices to help the poll body conduct these elections. The Bhutan Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay called on India's President Draupadi Murmu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Friday. President Murmu said that India is privileged to partner with Bhutan in development, cooperation sector, as well as towards enhancing the socio-economic well-being and prosperity of the people of Bhutan. Bhutan's Prime Minister Tobgay visited Rajghat as well in New Delhi, where he paid homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And we are now moving across live. We are listening to the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Mr. Tobgay, speaking at the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Our recent elections, and calling on my friend, a person I regard as my older brother, Prime Minister Modi, and I was overcome with emotion. And many hours later, I was still overcome with emotion, and I know it was because of my meeting with Prime Minister Modi. But I also realized that in large part it was because I'm back in Delhi among friends, and this visit has been so very emotional for me, as indeed I'm sure with my colleagues. I have the Minister of Foreign Affairs with us, the Minister of Energy with us, Energy and Natural Resources. Natural Resources because he's the one person in charge of taking care of our forests and our environment. We have the Minister for Industry and Commerce. He's in charge of the tourism sector, the Secretary of Energy, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, the Secretary of Finance, and then a few of my colleagues, and most importantly, the Ambassador of Bhutan to Delhi, the Ambassador of Bhutan to India. So, during my first visit to Delhi, I wanted to meet you. During my first visit itself, I wanted to meet the captains of industry in India. And more importantly, the drivers of tourism in India. I want to meet you because I want to invite you to Bhutan. Now, how many of you have visited Bhutan? A show of hands. Oh, wow. My job is that much easier. If you visited Bhutan, my new friend Mr. Patak showed you a picture of Taksang, the tiger's nest. If you have visited Bhutan, you know more than anybody else why. Not only why you should visit again and bring your family and friends, but why you should bring your clients to Bhutan. We've been blessed with excellent relations with India. Our kings are the foundations of this relationship. This is why we would like to have more Indians visit Bhutan. Yes, we would like to have other nationalities visit Bhutan as well. But India is in our immediate neighborhood. And as such, we would like to share what we have with visitors from India. We want to be a host. Our kings have implemented their vision of development for Bhutan, what we call gross national happiness. The overarching objective of gross national happiness is to improve the happiness and well-being of our people. To improve the happiness and well-being of our people by balancing economic growth, which is essential, balancing economic growth with social progress, cultural preservation, environmental preservation, and good governance. And now, why is this important? Why is this relevant for our discussions today? We need social progress. And we have made good progress there through free education and free healthcare. What this means is your tourists will have hosts who have been well educated and who can communicate and take care of your clients. The preservation of culture obviously is extremely important to our discussions today, because we in Bhutan are the custodians of a unique culture, a culture that we can share with the world, a culture that we can share with your tourists. Preservation of the environment is extremely important, as we are a carbon negative country. A good 72% of our country is under forest cover. This is what tourists love to see. This is what tourists enjoy. And good governance, the fourth pillar of gross national happiness, is relevant because tourists are guaranteed their security and safety through the rule of law in Bhutan. We also are a democratic country. And finally, economic prosperity. Our people cannot be happy unless our economy is prosperous. And while we are making tremendous strides in social progress and cultural preservation and environmental protection and good governance, in the area of economic progress, we have been extra cautious. We've been extra conservative. This caution and conservativeness has meant that the COVID pandemic has hit our economy hard. And to bring it back full circle, this is where you can help. Through your tourists, you'd be able to spread economic growth throughout our people and throughout the country. This is why I'm so excited about meeting you, and through you, welcoming tourists from all over India to Bhutan.
And that was Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay of Bhutan speaking to the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, inviting industry captains to bring tourists to Bhutan and also to invest in Bhutan. Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be visiting Bhutan next week. The Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay, who is on a visit to India, had extended the invitation to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Bhutan from the King of Bhutan. The Prime Minister has accepted that invitation, And during his meeting with Prime Minister Modi on Thursday, the Prime Minister of Bhutan conveyed his deep appreciation as well for India's role as a reliable, trusted and valued partner in Bhutan's developmental priorities. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the southern state of Kerala and participated in the Lok Sabha polls campaign of the NDA candidates there. The Prime Minister attended a public meeting at the district stadium in Pathanamthitta. Addressing the gathering, he hailed the central government's effort of helping citizens in the last 10 years, and he said that all efforts for every category of people in every way has been made by the central government.
पिछले 10 वर्षों में हमने देश के हर क्षेत्र, हर वर्ग के लिए जितना ज्यादा काम कर सकते हैं करने का प्रयास किया है। आप जानते हैं, हम युद्ध के बीच फंसी हमारी नर्स बहनों को भारत वापस लेकर आए थे इराक से। हमने संकट पे फंसे हमारे पादरियों को बाहर निकाल करके सुरक्षित वापस लाए थे। कोरोना के समय दुनिया के हर हिस्से से भारतवासियों को स्वदेश पहुंचाया है, क्योंकि जहां एक भी भारतीय परेशानी में होगा, वहां उसके साथ हमारी सरकार मजबूती से खड़ी होगी। ये है मोदी युड़े गारंटी।
Well, India's Prime Minister, Ministry of External Affairs, the Ministry of External Affairs has had a press conference, and the spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal had briefed the media today, and he emphasized that India's Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 is an internal matter of India and is in keeping with its inclusive traditions.
The Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 is an internal matter of India and is in keeping with India's inclusive traditions and a long-standing commitment to human rights. The Act grants a safe haven to persecuted minorities belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi and Christian communities from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh who have entered India on or before 31st December 2014. The CAA is about giving citizenship, not about taking away citizenship. So this must be underlined.
And the MEA spokesperson also said that the Indian embassy is in constant touch with the Indian community amid the crisis in Haiti.
We have established a control room here in the Ministry of External Affairs. We have emergency helpline numbers. Our embassy in Santo Domingo in Dominican Republic, which has the accreditation for Haiti, has also established a control room, has also established helplines. There are some 50 to 80 Indian community members there. The embassy is in touch with all of them. We are monitoring the situation. As you know, there is a crisis in Haiti, and if required, we will evacuate. We are ready to evacuate, and if required, we will do that. Our embassy in Santo Domingo is monitoring the situation, and the ministry also is fully monitoring the situation.
And some international updates now. Voting is underway in Russia's presidential elections. This is the first day of the ballot of voting. It's going to be held across 3 days because the incumbent president, who's Vladimir Putin, is all but certain of winning these elections. There are 3 challengers to him, none of whom have criticized him. So what's happened is that Putin's popularity is high also because of the strong support that he is getting in Russia's conflict with Ukraine. Putin's approval rating is currently at 86%. It's up from 71%, which it was before Russia had invaded Ukraine. And this is according to a Levada Center, which is a Russian pollster. Voting is underway in the Ukrainian regions annexed by Russia as well. The Russia-backed head of the Donetsk region, Denis Pushilin, cast his vote in the ongoing elections. While many of the residents in Donetsk participated in the polls, Ukraine has expressed its dismay regarding these elections. Voters in Crimea also took part in Russia's ongoing presidential elections. DD News, DD India's Dasha Chernyshova has reported from Moscow.
Well, obviously, it is an important legitimizing exercise for the Russian authorities as it is seen by the international community. But domestically, it is an important opportunity for the Russians to exercise their civic duty, as President Putin has put it forward. So we understand that the turnout by this hour has exceeded 7% nationwide. We have seen people coming to the polling stations like this one here in the Russian capital, all pretty much in a positive mood, saying that they do have to come here and to cast their ballot, but they also have an opportunity to do that online. This is one of the novelties of this presidential election. It is not only being held not just for one day but for 3, but also online, and we understand that many have used this opportunity. At the same time, we understand that voting is underway in the so-called new territories of Russia, where people have an opportunity to both come to the polling stations, or they have had a chance to cast their ballot with the mobile teams coming to their houses. It has been criticized by some of the international community, but as we hear from the observers who have been commenting to the Russian media here domestically, they have not reported any major irregularities. Another important issue is obviously that Russians do say that they want to continue with the stability they have seen in their country over the course of the past years, and that's why we understand the approval ratings of the incumbent presidents are very high. The turnout is expected to reach 70% by the end of the 3rd day of the voting, and obviously the incumbent president Vladimir Putin is expected to win this election with a vast majority.
And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is hosting his French and Polish counterparts in Berlin on Friday to project European unity towards Ukraine after weeks of tension between the allies. The French President Emmanuel Macron and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will meet for the first time following tensions between the two and how best to help Ukraine. The European Council President Charles Michel is also in Berlin and held talks with the German Chancellor Scholz on the ongoing conflict and the Russian presidential polls as well. The Kremlin on Friday commented on the French President Emmanuel Macron's remarks about the possibility of sending troops to Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that France was already involved in this conflict and had now signaled that it was ready for deeper involvement.
The fact that Russia is advisory for France. Yes, this is absolutely clear, because France is already involved in the war in Ukraine. In fact, it is indirectly participating in this war, and judging by the statements of the president, he is not opposed to increasing his level of involvement.
Earlier on Thursday, Macron said that Russia, an adversary that would not stop in Ukraine until it has defeated Kiev's troops in a 2-year-old conflict. Macron has warned that Europe should prepare for war if it wants peace.
Il y a 2 ans, nous disions jamais on enverra de chars.
If the war were to spread in Europe, it would be Russia's only choice and responsibility. But to decide us today to be weak, to decide today that we would not respond to it, is already to be in defeat. But that I do not want.
Escalade, nous ne sommes pas en guerre.
In the latest from the conflict, 2 people were killed in the Ukrainian region of Vinnytsia. This is after Russia launched its 2nd overnight mass drone attack in 2 days. The strike damaged a residential building. Kiev's Air Force said that all 27 Iranian-made drones had been shot down by air defenses over 7 regions across the country, including the capital. They also said that Russian forces had fired 8 missiles in eastern and central Ukraine. A humanitarian aid supply ship from Cyprus towing a barge loaded with food has arrived off the coast of Gaza on Friday. The ship, loaded with 200 tons of food and aid from Cyprus, reached near the coast, from where aid is expected to be delivered to Gaza by a jetty arranged by the World Central Kitchen. The shipment is part of a pilot project to open a new sea corridor and is the second ship. In fact, a second ship is expected as well soon. In the latest on the Israel-Hamas conflict, Hamas has presented a Gaza ceasefire proposal, and this is to mediators, which includes a first stage of releasing Israeli women, children and elderly. And they have also proposed the release of ill hostages, but they want something in exchange, of course, the release of 700 to 1,000 prisoners who are in Israel. And in his proposal, Hamas said that a deadline for Israel's withdrawal from Gaza would be agreed upon after that. And that would be in the second stage. Egypt is also pushing for a ceasefire and entry of aid into Gaza. In a recorded message on Friday, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the president, said that they are doing their best to reach an agreement.
We are doing our utmost best to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. We made sure, and we were always saying, that Rafah crossing is open and we are ready to enter any kind of aid.
Haitians rushed to the border with the neighboring Dominican Republic to stock up supplies amid the worsening humanitarian crisis there. Access to trade market on the Dominican border has been limited to 2 days a week as unrest continues in the region. The political situation in Haiti hangs in limbo after Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced his resignation on Monday. Gang violence has swamped the Caribbean country and a shootout in one neighborhood. Also an attack on the police academy earlier on Thursday. So there's a lot of gang warfare going on. A local gang leader has also sent threatening messages aimed at political leaders who are going to lead, trying to bring about a transitional council. In the last 11 months, India's overall goods trade has been at $709.81 billion. India's merchandise exports in February 2024 stood at $41.40 billion against $37.01 billion in February 2023. Goods import stood at $60.11 billion. India's merchandise trade deficit in February stood at $18.71 billion. Economists had expected the country's February trade deficit to be $18.30 billion. Now, overall exports in the U.S., these exports have been significantly higher. India replaced China and Taiwan in terms of export of smartphones to the United States in particular. The Bureau of Energy Efficiency, operating under the Ministry of Power in the Indian government, has introduced a new standards and labeling program. So it's launched by India's Minister of Power and New and Renewable Energy, R.K. Singh, in New Delhi. And this grid-connected solar inverter initiative, it vows substantial energy conservation. Projections indicate that this program, it could deliver remarkable energy savings amounting to 21.1 billion kilowatt hours from 2024 to 2034, coupled with a potential decline in carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 15.1 million tons during the specified time frame. Let's take a look at some other stories now. The Indian government has rolled out an e-vehicle policy to encourage and boost domestic manufacturing of e-vehicles. The policy will allow Indian consumers access to the latest technology while ensuring Make in India initiative. It also aims to reduce imports of crude oil, lower trade deficit and reduce air pollution. A massive fire broke out at a furniture factory on the outskirts of Srinagar in India last night, and the fire tenders rushed to the spot. They managed to douse the flames. The exact cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. The Meteorological Department in India has predicted rainfall with thunder showers, lightning and gusty winds. This is in several parts of central India. In addition to this, a heat wave has been predicted in isolated pockets of north interior Karnataka. This is from today, the 15th of March. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has inaugurated the first dedicated building complex for the Indian Navy and its headquarters. And well, this is in the capital, New Delhi. It's called Nausena Bhavan, and it was inaugurated in the presence of the Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Hari Kumar, and the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan. Also, the Defence Secretary and the Secretary of the DRDO were present. Now, this building has 3 wings and it's a 4-storied configuration which meets all the present and future requirements of the Indian Navy. The complex has been designed using innovative technologies, systems and materials with due stress on energy and water conservation and solar generation, leading to optimization and economy in capital and recurring costs. Now, scientists in the Antarctic, they are warning of the spread of a deadly bird flu virus after the disease was first detected on the frozen continent's mainland last month. It has since been detected in local penguins and also cormorant populations. Scientists have warned that another pandemic might be underway as cases of bird flu have gone up, raising concerns for the frozen region's huge penguin colonies. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us, thanks very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.